Good morning. This is Samuel Jacob Kirschner, voice of the BREAZE, speaking to you from Kripalu in the Berkshires. And it's a beautiful, beautiful morning. Unfortunately, I cannot show you much of the surroundings because of technical issues. I guess I could, but the Wi-Fi reception is best here and it's inside. But I woke up this morning and to the most gorgeous foliage. Uh, you know, it's the kind of foliage that you read in the books about or see movies. And yeah, just gorgeous. I'm here this weekend to participate as a presenter in a weekend called The Resilient Child, which is about, basically it's about teaching children how to breathe and how to move and how to be aware. It's for mostly people who are working in the educational system, in psychiatric setups, mental health. And I came here to present my particular aspect of the BREAZE, which works with adolescents and some children. And it's been really quite a wonderful weekend, very busy and hectic a bit. So many things to get done. But always reminded that it's never too late or too early to take a conscious breath and to take care of yourself, whatever that means to you. And that, of course, expands with practice. The more we practice taking care of ourselves, particularly through breath awareness, through not just taking a breath, we take 20,000 breaths a day, but to take a conscious breath means to really be aware that you are breathing. And for me, it means to open my heart to the breath and to allow it, and sometimes invite it, and sometimes summon it to go to places in myself, in me, body, my heart, that are challenged. And that happens so often, at least in my life. I feel challenged. I would call it the startle effect. When life kind of goes in a certain way, goes your way. And then something happens that startles you out of that flow, of that course. And to which we usually, startle is exactly what it is. It's a startle. Something happens. We get triggered. And the trigger usually is one that induces stress and anxiety and depression. So my practice really is to be aware of that and try to tackle it as soon as it happens so that I don't get caught up in the erosion, in the escalation of that, which really, it starts with, usually startle effect starts with some anger. Why is this happening? And then it's blame. Whose fault is it? And where it really becomes kind of more complex is self-blame. Is that there is an element in which many of us have learned to take the blame for everything that's happening around us, especially when we were children. somehow everything ended up being your fault. And that does not get erased from the brain. It does not. I think it's a major trauma. And what can happen, and what is happening in my life and in my years of practice, is that you can develop a relationship with it. You can develop an awareness of how similar it is, that startle effect, that let down effect, and start to breathe love into it. And that is really the bottom line of my practice, is to somehow engage the breath, the loving, the unconditionally loving breath, to engage it and to ask it to move, to go to that place in us. Sometimes it's physical, it's in the body, sometimes it's emotional. Um, but nevertheless, the very reaching out to the breath, of being vulnerable and enough to ask for help, to be willing, not just to ask for it, but to really willing to receive help, because at some point we want to have compassion for that. And that goes sometimes a long way. It's not so simple to have compassion for something that you are struggling with. To have compassion is also to make space for it to be there, because part of the pain and the anguish is the struggle with it. So to get a little bit more specific, last night something happened. I did a presentation, and I was, my presentation includes music and dance and movement and breathing. And there were quite a bit of people, and I got high on the presentation. I mean, I was part of it. It was coming through me, and I felt wonderful. I felt light. I felt present. I felt free. And people were seeming to be also feeling that, and it was a very nice interaction. Good feeling, one of the best you can imagine. And then somebody in authority said something, sort of like critiquing, which is really absolutely okay. And the critiquing was happening for all the presenters, and then it was also happening, for me. I was critiqued about some things that, the way I presented, and it really was okay. But I got startled, and there is really nothing I could do about it. It was almost like, in some ways I am startled waiting to happen. I was startled, and then I felt let down. And the letdown was historically, like it's for me. I felt let down by the person who critiqued me. I got a little self-righteous, My mind was aware of it, that my mind was wanting to prove him wrong and to defend myself. But I kept breathing love into the feeling, and I'm trying to really hone in on it. And the breath has such an amazing way of washing clear all the stains, whether it's mental or emotional. If you continue to breathe in this particular way that we are breathing, coherent breathing, certain slow rhythm and consistency, and you start to work with it a bit, you actually ask for the love of the breath to go to the places in you that are in need of support. and healing and empowerment. It happens. It happens. So this morning, actually, I got up. I had a aha moment in which I realized what happened and in which I had a lot of space for it and realized also that it was a very healing, it was a healing moment that happened for me, that I got in touch with that let down dynamic, which I remember since I was a child. This is where it becomes so incredible, is how I can today work with children or with adolescents or with others in that way of sharing basically something that I'm doing for myself. So I remember that when I was a child, I had a very, very high level of responsibility. Uh, I felt very responsible for the well being, happiness, and the survival of my parents. And whenever something would happen in which I misbehaved or there was some glitch, um, my parents already forgave me, but I could be brooding for a long time, tormenting myself. Why was I bad? Why did I do this? Of course, I could get no answer for that. But sometimes that could escalate into depression and definitely moodiness, a lot of like heavy bad moods. And so it was so amazing to get in touch with that and to be able to ask the breath to breathe love into that place in me that feels let down and that mainly feels let down by me, and to make space for it, to have compassion for it. And it feels today, just a couple of hours on, it feels different. I am not on edge about it, and I'm not suffering about it. I'm not blaming anybody, definitely not myself. And I can use the critiquing as a, information that I can work with. I don't have to agree with everything that was said. I certainly though I can make some good use from it, but not to take it so personal. And that is one of the wonderful things that says, which I always like to go back to, is take nothing personally, least of all yourself. Because none of it really, at the end of the day, is personal. We take things personally because we get triggered. And at the time that we do, we usually don't have choice besides that choice. But thing is personal. But it takes a skill to, yeah, it's nice to say, take nothing personally. But to work with it is another sport. So this morning, I wanted to do a little meditation. I'm actually expecting perhaps Dr. Richard Brown to join me, like to talk to him about that. Um, what I like to do is to do a little meditation using the 5 steps of the breathe, particularly the first step, the first part, to deal with the letdown, disappointment. how can you use that for yourself in your life? So I'm going to play some. I'm going to play some music in the background, very soft music. I'd like you to just pay attention to your breathing and try to slow down your breathing. Breathing in to the left, then breathing out, breathing breath, entering your nose and brushing your nostrils as you breathe in and exhaling, brushing your nostrils. Time in your life when you were very young, that you were disappointed that somebody maybe or a person who thought promised something and didn't fulfill. Which you are feeling self-blame, letting down yourself. And we heal. Keeps up. Okay? So it looks like we are back. Yes. So, as life would have it, we just had a little Wi-Fi disconnect, but in the meanwhile, Dr. Brown just arrived. So the timing, as usual, keeps being. I want to welcome Dr. Richard Brown and just let you know that for the last 15 minutes I was talking about the letdown thing. Something happened for me last night in which I was feeling let down. And I did what I normally do when I feel let down. I first find I'm looking for someone to blame. And when I'm done doing that, I start blaming myself. And when I'm done doing that, I start breathing. So, yeah, it didn't take too long for me to come back to the breath and ask the breath to wash clear my letdown, basically in myself, which is an old trigger, an old childhood thing. And whenever I would misbehave, I remember as a child and my parents would already forgive me, I would be brooding and be so disappointed in myself that was bad. And that place in my brain has never been erased or deleted, but thank God I'm able to work with it. And I was talking about it so next door to the resilient child again. I basically here to explain how to work with children, not only in the way of and so, yeah, that's what I was doing. So I want to ask you about this resilient childhood. The notion of the resilient child that lives in us, that most never goes away. Resilience that we have seen in so many very extreme situations, like in South Sudan, and they are able to find resilience in themselves, and particularly the children. So, it's something that we don't see rituals, and can be sustained and yet based on presence, such joy, such resilience. We hear from you if you can share with us.
Well, I find it's so much better. This was they just accept Compared to many courses we do, there are relatively few, and they're all very committed and interesting, and the young people they've worked with, and they want to use these tools to work with them. And it's just so astounding to me, the pandemic, of really distressed children. And it's been many years ago when I was starting my psychiatric training, we had endemic child suicide, children 7, 8, 9. And then the rates of suicide dipped, and we're back up to that rate of child suicide. And the issue is, why isn't anybody doing anything about it? We bring this to everybody, train our children. Means the adults have to train first, bring it to them. Now, some of the teachers teaching with us, what they've seen, the children bring it home and teach their parents. Whereas I've been working on the model of training the parents to teach the children. So there's so many different ways to do things. And I just find it stunning. I'm still shocked that there's so little, like in the article, what the how. Oh, it's the technology. Yes, I believe the children are overstimulated. But when you have the right abilities, tools to self-soothe, you realize, like children need guidance from adults too. A lot about it. The text need a good balance. How is it? Desires for everything. Mm-hmm. When I was in, we didn't pick any. And then it became, you had to have a picture of it. You didn't have to have like this whole industry around taking care of your teeth and making them look straight and white and all that stuff. And how addicting the electronic tools can be. And I feel it in myself as we do these things.
Sure.
Hard to take a break from that. So we're craving after it.
I can say something about the outer self. Since taking care of ourselves today is so about taking care of the outer self. Bodies and looking good, hair, makeup, all that stuff. But there is such a discrepancy between self-care as in taking care of our inner self, of our inner lives.
Well, the thing is, the desire pulls us to the outer world. There's something from outside of us will make us feel good or better.
Sure.
Always needing that. And I have a practice in Manhattan and a practice in a rural part of the Hudson Valley. Surgeries change their body. And they're so often not happy. Results and want to go for more. But the fact is what a world is the outer world. It's always changing to adapt to it. But you can't change the outer world very much. You can change it some. But the fact is, your attitude, your flexibility, responding, challenges from your world, there's this place inside yourself. It's like a reference point or story that's unchanging. And in that place, there's a witness, there's a part of it that's always observing, not judging, not criticizing. As they are. Generally, you don't listen to that part. You don't hear it. It's whispers in the beginning, and you You have to practice hearing whispers. Then it gets, so you're better. It takes practice. It takes inner work. In our society, people don't hear about the inner work nearly as often, but it's what makes the difference to the quality of life.
Can you please address one of the things we talk about very often, developing a personal breathing practice? What is it about a daily practice that makes the difference? And why is it that we need one?
Well, so easy for our mind, fluctuations of our mind, pulled out, down by different desires, discomforts. If you don't to center yourself, will unbalance. And each system in our body, it's your strength or mind's ability to problems, each have a rhythm. And they're generally not synchrony. And the breathing brings all the systems of your body, all the parts of your mind, all the parts of your vital energy into synchrony. And when that happens, you're able to accomplish so much more. Other yoga doctors, especially, they wonder, how do I get so much done? And without that, so steadily, much more continues to develop more of the time if you really expect. So how do you find time as well? You don't watch TV or a certain amount of time. You don't read newspaper. You don't spend time surfing on the internet as much. Take time out for yourself. You're more than what you expect.
As we are talking, I am playing in the background the rhythm of chimes that's basically geared to remind us to breathe coherently. And how that, for me, in terms of my personal daily practice, it is something that I can incorporate in my life. I mean, when I sleep, I go to sleep, I put on the chimes, and it always reminds me of that rhythm that I need to come back to, because the rhythm of my stress is different than the rhythm of my breath. And that's exactly what I'm striving for, is to keep coming back to the rhythm of my breath. I know that I cannot erase the stress. Stress is continuing. It's part of life. However, I can keep coming back to the rhythm of my breath. And I do it mostly by surrounding myself with that sound, when I can. And, there are now apps that can remind us. Of course, eventually it comes down until we have a chip in the brain, which I don't know when that will happen, but I would be surprised if soon. We have to somehow make it part, those of us who want to practice. And I mean, for me, I have to say that personally for me, the question of practice is a vital question, because I know that without this kind of awareness, I can go to some very, very dark places. And I, at this point in my life, know that some of it is just a matter of escalation. If I don't watch those triggers in my life, which happen daily, I mean, a word can trigger me, and somebody's look. So for me, it's vital to keep coming back to that awareness, to that breathing consciously, which again I think is very much induced by rhythm. And when I hear these chimes, I already know, I have a lot of practice, a lot of experience. I already know to go into a different pace. And eventually, it doesn't take too long, there's a shift. There's a shift between the stress state of mind and the relaxed, coherent, loving state of mind. Well, so what can we do other than just be demonstrations? Because people definitely, and children particularly, but people notice when they are around you and you are in that state of relaxation, of coherence, of resilience, and you don't have to do anything, but your energy, it's exuded, speaks for itself. People respond to it. I can see it sometimes in their looks. I don't have to say anything, but the way they look at me, I can see that they know how I'm feeling. I don't have to broadcast it. So, in that respect, that I don't think it's ever changed. That the best way to make change is to change yourself, to be the change you want to see, as Gandhi said, and to demonstrate it in your own life. Is there anything that you think that we can do to induce that, to help people develop personal breathing practice?
Well, I think you're doing it right now. That's your work with on radio, bringing people's awareness to the suffering, especially young people are searching, but not just young people are searching. And it's a matter of having the right tools. It's like we'll joke about, gotta get to Carnegie Hall, practice.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, having played a musical instrument, having played different sports, in playing a musical instrument, you have scales. In doing an athletic sport, you can have drills. And there's a point where, in a sense, you become more flexible. You don't slavishly follow, you begin to be creative and free. And that's an important stage. But there's years of work with kind of boring drills. And I've not found an easy way to sugarcoat that for people. Although in our courses we have a lot of desire to feel so close to each other, because when you do these things, your anti-stress connecting social bonding hormones get released, which are shut down by the stress levels of each other and themselves. And I feel like when you get so attached to desire, what's right in front of you, the material things, there is still a part of human beings, all these thousands of years of evolution, that very much wants to transcend the mundane everyday stuff, be in touch with what is so much bigger than ourselves around us. But for many people, the way organized religion has been presented doesn't seem to meet those needs, which is a lot like it was in America when people immigrated from Europe to get away from religions that had been oppressive. They still wanted to be something bigger than themselves, and they began to work on how to have spiritual experiences in everyday life. If you read the writings from the time, my feeling is presenting those things. You have to find what works for you, but I think what we've done is find a few simple things that are really powerful and just teach you so much in a short time of an experience. That means you don't feel so limited to your small, ordinary self, small place and time.
You often describe that as the difference between the original self and the masked self. I recently, when I was, I often think about stress. What is stress? I thought that stress is the tension between the original self and the masks are on the freedom. And it looks like it's time for us to start to wrap up. So first I want to thank you for coming in the right time. It's my pleasure, my pleasure. And I want to thank you for listening and for taking the time to breathe consciously, coherently. And if you'd like more information about how you can develop a daily breathing practice, you can go to BREAZE, BREAZE.com. And we have all kinds of activities and groups that can help you develop a practice. And also, yes, if you want some tracks, audio tracks, you can find them under my name, Samuel Jacob Kirschner, on iTunes. And yes, I want to wish you a wonderful day, a day filled with joy, oxygen, and ease. This is Samuel Jacob Kirschner, voice of the breeze. Have a great day.